Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're impartially unpacking a highly unconventional, deeply syncretic philosophical text by Xu Feng titled The Roadmap of Life and Life. We're going to break down these dense, abstract concepts together and map out exactly what this text is trying to tell us. Everything from the very definition of existence to literal, step-by-step instructions on how to transcend earthly reality.
Before we get too deep, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll be moving through 5 stages: distinguishing life from life, redefining human morality, the earthly solution, paying karmic debts, and finally, the cosmic destination.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Life versus Life, the fundamental duality. The text draws a huge line in the sand right off the bat, literally using lowercase and uppercase letters to make its point. On the left side, we have lowercase life. The source describes this as just a brief earthly journey, a totally temporary state. But over on the right, we have uppercase life. This is described as a non-material structure possessing a spiritual sense. Uppercase life is the eternal entirety of existence. Basically, the lowercase life you're living right now is just a tiny fleeting road trip for your eternal uppercase life.
So, what are we supposed to do with this quick little earthly trip? Well, according to the text, the answer is incredibly simple. Live in happiness, freedom, and joy. The source urges us to literally just look outside at the blue sky, the blooming flowers, and the flying birds. Just like nature exists in effortless harmony, we as humans are meant to mirror that exact state, living blissfully and totally unburdened.
Moving right along to Section 2, Redefining Human Morality, and boy, does this flip the script.
This text gives us a completely stark, black and white definition of morality. Moral is defined exclusively as behaviors and actions that maintain humanity's original nature and bring about a happy, joyful, free life. Conversely, immoral is categorized as absolutely any theory, behavior, or lifestyle that stops or prevents that freedom. It completely strips away traditional cultural or religious rules, linking morality solely to the preservation of absolute, unhindered personal joy.
And because of that super strict definition, the text reaches some highly controversial conclusions. Because they're seen as restricting absolute personal freedom, the source categorizes major traditional institutions as fundamentally immoral. We're talking about the nuclear family, marriage, countries, religions, and political parties. The argument made here is that these constructs bind individuals, create divisions, and ultimately stop people from leading the happy, free life that is supposed to be our natural birthright.
So how do we get out of it? That brings us to Section 3, the earthly solution, which is basically the escape plan.
The source doesn't just leave us hanging with abstract critiques. It gives literal step-by-step instructions on how to transition away from traditional structures. It starts simply. If you aren't married, stay that way. But if you're already bound by traditional structures, you have to earnestly take care of your parents and your children. You can't just abandon your responsibilities. Next, you are required to pay off all secular debts and finish earthly affairs. Only after you've respectfully wrapped up all those earthly ties can you transition into what the text calls the new oasis for life, ideally side by side with your spouse into this new paradigm.
And here's the really wild part. This isn't just about individual salvation. It's a grand blueprint for global transformation. The text claims that once humanity universally adopts this new oasis lifestyle, traditional borders and belief systems will just vanish. It envisions this incredibly frictionless transition where countries, political parties, and divided religions don't need to be overthrown or fought against. They'll just naturally dissolve because the populace simply stops participating in them.
Next up is Section 4, Paying Karmic Debts, or as the text puts it, Releasing the Gravity. This introduces a really fascinating concept, spiritual gravity. Uppercase life has a gravity caused by past debts and unfinished secular business. This gravity physically weighs your eternal structure down, anchoring you to earthly reality. To escape this, the text pivots to Eastern philosophy, specifically using Buddha Sakyamuni's concept of formless almsgiving from the Diamond Sutra. This is presented as the supreme mechanism to release this spiritual weight and perfectly balance your cosmic ledger.
And this right here perfectly captures how incredibly syncretic this philosophy is. Right after quoting Buddha, the text borrows directly from the teachings of Jesus in the Bible to hammer home the exact same point. By quoting Jesus saying that we cannot get away if we owe even 1 penny, the source cements a universal rule across different traditions. You absolutely cannot transcend your current state until your earthly accounts, both financial and spiritual, are meticulously settled.
So how exactly do you actively pay down these debts today? The text instructs followers to take practical action and pioneer this new Lifechanyuan era. That means actively helping everyone lead a free life, no matter their background, and physically working to restore the health of Mother Earth. Healing the planet and humanity at the same time is literally presented as your ultimate debt repayment strategy.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the cosmic destination, mapping consciousness.
Take a look at this breakdown. It lays out the text's core metaphysical rule. Your reality is directly manifested by your consciousness. It's a literal one-to-one map. If you elevate your consciousness to the level of celestials, your reality becomes the 1,000-year or 10,000-year world. Attain the consciousness of Buddhas, and you manifest the Elysium world. Evolve even further into super-celestial beings, and you arrive at the Celestial Islands continent. Basically, your internal spiritual state is a direct boarding pass to specific, literal cosmic worlds.
But how on earth do you actually achieve those incredibly high levels of consciousness? Well, this is where the text weaves in Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. It emphasizes the concept of embracing the One to clarify heaven and stabilize earth. But it goes a step further by defining the core of this mysterious One. According to the text, the One is explicitly defined as the way of the greatest creator, positioning a single, supreme creative force right at the center of all Taoist harmonization.
And to further cement this grand unification of world religions, the text invokes the Prophet Muhammad and the Quran. It uses this reference to emphasize a massive caveat to its cosmic map. Humanity can only transcend the bounds of earth and heaven by the express permission of this greatest creator. It's this unique synthesis of self-driven consciousness elevation combined with a required ultimate reverence for the source of the universe.
Bringing it all together, this roadmap concludes that true wealth isn't material at all, it's spiritual merit. The fastest way to clear your spiritual gravity and upgrade your cosmic reality is by shedding the traditional bonds of society, revering the greatest creator, and actively pioneering this brand new era. Which leaves us with a really massive philosophical dilemma. This roadmap asks for a complete dismantling of the foundational structures of human society in exchange for ultimate spiritual freedom and cosmic ascension. Are the institutions we rely on every single day, our nations, our traditional families, our specific religions, actually holding us back from our eternal life? And even if they are, could humanity ever truly be ready to walk away from them entirely? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to ponder how you define your own roadmap of life.